Hi, Simon Webb, Fallen Spirit Official here. Now today I'm going to take you on a little journey with me. Today we're going to be painting as Spirit-Ogun. Spirit-Ogun was the first of my UV characters that I felt was really successful. Now Spirit-Ogun started off as just a concept in my mind, something that I drew, but he was based on a character that I was already doing, which was just called Ogun. Now that particular character was based on something that I had seen online. I was really sort of wanting to go down the voodoo path, and I did a lot of research, and that was very similar to something that I'd seen online. I just decided to adjust the character, add certain features, added the wispy shoulder, pads, whatever you want to call them, and I just really made it my own. But I really enjoyed doing Ogun, which is why I wanted to bring him into the UV spectrum. And when I did, this is the basic concept of what we ended up with. Now, as you can see, that is pretty much how Ogun looks these days. However, over time, certain things have been refined, like the mouth. I feel I do a better job now doing the mouth. Originally, he had much bigger teeth and they just didn't quite look right. But yeah, that's pretty much how Ogun started. So anyway, on to the painting process itself. Now I'm looking at myself in the camera and I'm thinking, what's wrong with this picture? What is the first and foremost thing that I need to do? And it's quite simple really. I need to have a shave. I can paint with stubble. It just makes it slightly more difficult, and if anything, we want to make this as easy as possible. So we're going to get rid of the stubble. Originally, I actually used to have a beard, and I used to try and, paint through it all the time, and it just got too awkward. So, time for the beard to go. That's better. Now, we're pretty much ready to get started. So, first and foremost, preparation is key. Now, I always have my pots of paint ready to go. This one we have pink, purple, and white. And then in this one we have orange and green. Now I always put the orange and green together purely and simply because I use more of them than anything else. And the other reason would be that later on, once I'm finished with the initial green and orange, I may choose to mix that colour and create something else. So first and foremost is contact lenses. Now the contact lenses have to go in first, purely and simply because I tried it the other way around and I smudged my paint, because I'm not really the best when it comes to putting contact lenses in. I tend to have watery eyes a little bit. So we're just going to do it and hope for the best. So these are UV yellow contact lenses. They're yellow, but they kind of show up a greeny colour under the UV light. So let's go. Some days I get them in first time, other days I really struggle. Today seems to be a struggle day. Ow, 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 ow. Oh. Today also seems to be a stingy day. Yep, we have watery eye, which again is the reason why we put the contact lenses in before we do the paint. Obviously, I know people are probably going to go in the comments saying, you can put contact lenses in easier, you should try this, you should try this. I have tried loads of different ways and I'm just not overly comfortable putting contact lenses in, so no matter how I try to do it, it's always a bit of a chore. But this eye's really watering. It is what it is. I'm used to it. I'm used to the fact that I'm gonna have watery eyes. I mean, can you see when I try and put the contact lens in, my eye literally just goes nope. and it starts to sort of spasm a little bit. I'm just going to look in the actual mirror for this. And we have liftoff. We're in. It's so much of a chore sometimes. You can kind of see the colour of them because I have the UV light on below the camera. I'm just going to have to give myself a minute to stop crying, basically. I'll be back in a sec. I'm back. So, yeah, still crying a little bit. Crying, you know. And as you can see, shirts come off because we can't paint the face and leave the shirt on, just in case when we take the shirt off it removes some of the paint. So, oh, excuse me, I just had a coffee. Let's begin, shall we? Okay, so basic concept of Ogun, and the main feature is obviously the mouth. The mouth is what people notice the first and foremost, and the rest of it really is just filling in the gaps. So using the orange, I'm going to do the best that I can with the light on, but I am going to have to keep flipping it off at certain points in time just to check how the progress is going. And I'm also going to try and do it in the phone camera rather than using the mirror, because why not? No, I just can't do it. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, that don't feel right. Right, so we're going to do it in the mirror. You should hopefully still be able to see though. So I tried to line it up with my nose and just above my eyebrows, and I just create an arch. Now as you can see, the paint tends to run out before we get to the end, which is a bit annoying, but it's fine. It just means we have to go back over it. And keep it as steady as possible. Yeah. These things don't always go perfectly. I'm crap at left-handed at painting, so I have to really just sort of cross over my entire body with my arm. So this was literally just, I don't know what my idea was with this, but just kind of envisioned sort of a mask. You know when you see a superhero with a mask over his eyes? That kind of concept, basically. And then I just bring it to a peak in the middle. Let's see how that looks under UV light. It's not too bad. The one thing I will say, and I emphasise this quite a lot, is that my painting skills certainly not perfect. I've never once claimed that they are. And I also kind of think that the fact that my character's painting is not perfect works in my favour. I really do. Right, so from there we go top of the nose, just below the eye line, straight across just to create the first line. And then we're going to carry on with the concept of a mask by going down below the eye. Run out of paint already. Jeez. And then round into the hairline. That didn't work. I'm trying to turn the light off. Okay. I also, again, have to now cross over my body with my right arm. This really is sort of a hope for the best scenario when I'm going across onto this side, because yeah, I just can't paint with my left hand. I find it extremely difficult. It's also really, really hard sometimes to see exactly where we're going. Do we have it? Has it worked? Does it look okay? Okay, so again, it's not perfect, but I'm reasonably happy with that. So then the next thing we will do is we start at the bottom of the nose. By the way, did you notice also when I was doing the right hand side of my face, I was actually using my nose to try and steady my hand? That works sometimes, but I still try to do it every time. Right, so bottom of the nose, line across. Literally just a straight line across the nose, or the bottom bridge nose, bottom of my nose. Again, not too thick. Let's see how that looks. The slightly awkward thing as well, you may have noticed, is my nose is actually bent, so this never, ever goes perfectly right. As long as it's okay, I'm reasonably happy with that. So bottom of the nose done, around the eyes done. Very simple. So now we have the gap to fill, so I will try and get 2 sets of lines in here. So we'll start closest to the top one, bring it down and then just wash out. And same on the other side. See how it looks. Looks alright. And then we'll do just a little one here. Again, these literally, the idea behind these was literally just to break up the space of my face, basically. It's amazing how basic lines, once put into a certain format, can make such an impact, such a difference. So from there, then literally just above my eyes, straight line up, as you can see. It tends to disappear where the cracks in my forehead are, or as some of you may call them, laughter lines. Again, this does not have to be perfect, because more than likely I'm going to be wearing the hat anyway. Now once we've done those 2 sets of lines, that is the basic concept of the orange part of the facial structure, let's say, done. Okay, so now we need to clean off the brush, because I do try to use the same brush sort of over and over again. Just give it a quick swill out in the water, and because it's a water-based paint, it comes out quite easily, to be honest. So now we're going to go straight onto the green, and we use the green just to put where the peak is. We're going to go straight up, do a straight line, and then we're going to go across. I'm saying that, but it's not going on. And I don't know why I decided to do the cross on my forehead. I think again it was literally just a a gap filler, let's say, something to fill the gap. Again, very, very basic. So now we're going to use the green and we're going to go just up inside that line and inside that line. Again, there's no need for these lines to be perfect because nobody's going to be paying attention to them. I think they're just, I do them for me more than anything. There's no perfection there, but it's all part and parcel of the design. Okay, so moving on to the mouth. I think I can leave the light off safely because it seems to be light enough for the video to see, which is great because this is going to make it so much easier. So using the green, now we're going to start. I'm going to have to go to the camera here, at the mirror, should I say. What I do is I start with the very, very centre of my nose. And we create a point. That is literally just the first tooth. And then the same on the other side. And we try and get it as symmetrical as possible, but it doesn't always work. So I'm just going to try and get a slightly smaller brush. We'll see how this one does. Now, let's start with the next tooth. I basically take the tooth down to my lip line. There we go. Now, I'm just going to have to quickly check something. Okay, so even I forget these things sometimes and I have to remind myself, but all of my characters have different teeth sets. So with Ogun, he has the bigger teeth coming from the bottom, so I need to put those big teeth in before I go any further, because the rest of the teeth are going to be based around the big teeth. This looks weird until it's finished, doesn't it? Also, you need to make sure you don't have too much. Paint on your brush. See, that just doesn't look right on that side, does it? Do not be afraid to get your facial wipes and just take it off. If you're not happy with something, there's no shame in starting again. dab that dry. Okay, so yeah, that's a little bit better. But I do feel like they need to be slightly narrower. That's a bit better. See, once we've got the big teeth in place, then we can work on the other teeth. And what I try to do is make sure that the bottom teeth look like they could interlock with the upper teeth. So we'll start right in the middle and just go straight down, and then we'll do one for the next one, and then the next one. Once the basic lines are in place, then we'll thicken them off. Again, there's nothing you can do about the natural contours of your face. You can try and work with them, but it doesn't always work. See, that looks like one of the teeth is bending, but again, I did mention from the off, this is not going to be perfect. Never has been perfect. So there we have the basic concept of the initial mouth opening area. Now what we do is I take this top tooth line, bring it up to a little point there. I don't know why, but it's just what I've always done. And then once we've done that, we then put some more ink on our brush and swoosh out. That's how I describe it. I swoosh out. I think this is where the mask type area helps, because it helps to guide the shape. And then from there we swoosh down and create the basic shape of the mouth. Now we can fill in some of the gaps. And create a slightly more solid facial area. Now it's a question of filling in where the other teeth are going to be. So I always do one from the top and then one from the bottom. And what I will always do is go from one side to the other, just to try and make sure that we have an equal amount of teeth. So again, top to bottom. I think the more I get towards the other end and the teeth are smaller, I might do more than one at a time, but to start with I always just try and do one on each side. I do my very best to try and make sure it's symmetrical. Again, not perfect. Yeah, it's looking alright. Bottom tooth again. I apologise if you can hear the fan in the background, but it is extremely warm. And the last thing I want is for the paint to be dripping off with sweat. So because we've only got a little bit of space to fill here, I will do more than one tooth. And I always try and fit a tiny one in. If I can, at the end. Ooh, and it all comes together. Yeah. What I may then do is just add a couple of little dashes in certain areas just to break up certain lines. And then later on, when I've mixed some of the other colours together, I may put some of the dashes in between my nose and up here. But I'm not going to do that now because I need to still use the green and orange as they are. So that's pretty much it for the face. I hope that has given you a little insight, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back for the next part of the video, which is going to be the chest and upper torso area here. Thank you for watching. See you soon.